You can pay over UPI with your RuPay credit card. The Reserve Bank has allowed RuPay credit cards to be linked to UPI. The National Payments Corporation of India, or NPCI, which is the creator of both UPI and RuPay cards, has issued a detailed circular last week asking banks to do the back-end linking of their UPI payments with their credit card software. But there are some preliminary issues. One, of course, the linkage of UPI and credit card software could take time. Second, not too many RuPay credit cards have been issued, more debit cards have been issued. And Visa and MasterCards, who have many more credit cards out there, are not part of this system. But to understand more about this new convenience and whether it can vastly expand the number of merchants and credit card holders, I have with me someone who can explain the system. Dilip Asbe, Managing Director and CEO of the NPCI, who has put in this system. Parag Rao, Group Head of Payments, Consumer Finance, Digital Banking and IT at HDFC Bank. Akhil Handa, Chief Digital Officer, Bank of Baroda. And Kunal Shah, Founder and CEO at Cred, the guy whom we associate with credit cards these days. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining me. Mr. Asbe, first if you can tell us first the purpose of this, what was your own goal in your mind, and how long do you think it will take to start?
We have launched the system with three banks now, three public sector banks. I would let Parag speak for the HDFC Bank, which is the largest credit card issuer in the country to Readiness. But we know that they are very close. They are very close to go live. The other large banks, we are talking to them. Like I know that there are dates available from Axis Bank. But other banks, I'm not, to be honest, aware about the dates when they will make the UPI credit card operational.
Okay.
But I think with HDFC Bank, three large public sector banks, and with Axis Bank going live in next 2 to 3 months' time, at least we will have a coverage over 60-70% in the current market. That's what is our assessment is. We have already issued the pricing circular, so in my assessment, we should start seeing some traction Jan and onwards in terms of numbers. That's our assessment, Latha.
And what do you have in mind? I mean, what was the purpose for issuing this? I mean, we could still pay with our POS machine or the QR code at all the merchants. How does this change the ecosystem?
So, today, while there are, and the others can also speak about on this particular issue, that how do we achieve the market expansion has been the primary objective on this initiative. And that's what I think the RBI also is thinking, that, is there a possibility to increase the base of the credit card users? While the credit card system has seen a huge expansion last 2-3 years now, I think there are outstanding cards about 78 million. But when you look at, there would be people who have the multiple cards. So in my assessment, about 40 to 50 million unique Indians would be having the credit card. With this kind of lightweight and fully digital journey, right? You can look at expanding that base. Today, UPI is over 250 million consumer base. So if we are able to get some new innovative ideas from the banks, from the fintechs, I believe that, a lot of small ticket can go, right? Small ticket, or we call it chota credit, or a sachetization of the credit cards, like what FMCG did on to reach out to the rural market and expand the market, expand the segment. So in our assessment, that those kind of innovative ideas would be required to make it a credit cards or a credit as a citizen scale story.
Okay.
Also on the supply side, Latha, that we believe that the many small merchants have been actually excluded from this credit money, right? Technically, mostly you could see about 5 million POS machine, but about 50 million QR code merchants. So with this, the small merchants also can have the utilization on the credit money, in my assessment, and that's a that's a big boost to the small and medium enterprises, right? Because and also the small merchants, right, where the credit card today is not accepted in that sense unless they have the POS machines.
Okay, yeah, I take your point. Merchants, it may be, though often we see merchants themselves resisting it. The bigger point is banks issue credit cards only if you are credit worthy, and that may still be a stumbling block to increase the number of users. I'll come to that in a minute, Mr. Asbe. But Parag, how ready are we to go? And I'm telling you why I got this doubt. How many RuPay credit cards are out there? What is, HDFC Bank's own number? And if the number is small, banks may say, okay, I'll do it, but there isn't so much business there. At the moment, it's a very small number. So what's your number and how long will it take?
Okay, thanks, Latha. Well, yes, I think admittedly, at an ecosystem, the number of RuPay cards relative to, the other schemes is lesser. Having said this, HDFC Bank itself issues approximately 50,000 odd RuPay credit cards a month, and that number is growing. This particular program of linking, your UPI wallet to credit cards, I think opens the space for, as Dilip said, Chota credit, which means exposing millions and millions of customers who are doing a UPI transaction also to the availability of a credit line, which can sort of expand usage. It also therefore gives the opportunity to issue those many more credit cards to a lot more number of people who are now electronic transaction savvy. Yes, of course, I think I think banks have to evolve their own underwriting scores, etc., to be able to sort of underwrite them. Having said this, I think many of these customers will also be your own bank customers, respective bank customers. So this ecosystem, I think, will start growing as soon as critical mass of banks start sort of enable the linking of RuPay credit cards to UPI. So you'll see, I think, over the next year or so, the numbers really expanding.
And your system will be up when you think?
Pardon, I didn't get you.
When will you get the connectivity, linking your RuPay credit?
We're in the last. HDFC Bank is in the last stages of the rollout. The last minute testing, etc., of the system is going on. Please do understand it's a reasonably large and complex back-end work, because you're actually taking two systems, the credit card system and the core banking system, and in a sense linking them together. It has to be done in a fail-safe manner. So we're in the last stages, and we'll soon roll out the first card.
Yes, and then it's also costly. At least here there is an MDR, thank God. Akhil, a similar question to you. See, I'm not at all in doubt about the digital savviness of our citizens. I pay my maid on Google Pay because she has to send her money to her village. So she insists, don't give me cash, bhabhi mere ko Google Pay karo. But will you ever give her a credit card? What is her, steady stream of income? So how does this expand the number? This sachetization of cards, will that happen because of ease of doing?
No, I think, Latha, the way to look at this, as Dilip and Parag was also touched upon, is it expands the age choices for merchants to be able to accept the credit card form factor that they were not able to. Look, and the numbers that Dilip alluded to, there are about, maybe around close to 6 million POS acceptance terminals, compared to about 10 times of that in terms of the QR codes that are available in terms of the small merchants. Now, these merchants can hence start accepting whatever credit cards are there, right? And of course, as a proportion of the population, it is a very small proportion, but still, those merchants up till now were not able to accept the credit card form factor because, POS, they would have had to get a POS terminal. The terminal is a relatively expensive proposition to maintain. So that helps the merchants in a very big way. Now, there are a range of pluses for the customers as well. But of course, the pluses are there for the customers who are underwritten for credit. Right? So for those who are not underwritten for credit, I don't see much by way of an added benefit. Those who are underwritten for credit, now they can. I mean, you would have seen POS terminals now who come with you are able to actually generate a QR code on them, and which effectively means that POS terminals were being utilized to also pay through the UPI QR system.
Got it.
Now that is no longer required because the UPI QR then becomes the acceptance.
No, I get your point. I get your point. We can expand the merchant system perhaps faster than we can expand the customer base, the credit card user base. Now, that's where Kunal comes in. Kunal, I have a negative question and a positive question for you. First, is this very useful to you? Because I think you all wear it on your sleeve that you only service the big credit card guys, and they must be Visa Master. So immediately, is this of any use to you at all? And secondly, Mr. Asbe is putting a lot of faith that fintechs will make this easier. So that point of view as well from you.
First of all, we do serve RuPay cards as well, just to clarify. And I'm having said that, more consumers coming to credit ecosystem is great for the country. If you go to history of any country and role of credit in that, I would like to point out that many countries like Korea actually give income tax rebates for using credit cards as a government. And that may be an interesting thing to study for many people. My prediction is that we are maybe in 4 or 5 years looking at death of this physical wallet. I believe that we are going to have more and more transactions happening on the phone, either through tap and pay or scan and pay, with credit being the instrument.
Yeah.
If you look at China, it started with the bank account, and majority of the customers shifted with credit behind as an instrument. So while China had an immense amount of credit card growth, it shifted to scan, and I foresee that's the same thing that's going to happen to India as well. The last point on, we must not forget that credit worthiness comes from first giving credit to consumers. It doesn't come by automatic virtue from being born.
Salaried employees have a salary certificate.
You'll be surprised. If you look at the US and if you look at the history of credit cards, the first credit card was done where a city was just issued cards, irrespective of the income, with a certain small limit, and then eventually build it up on top of that. I think we are going to see immense amount of growth from so many dimensions now that the acceptance part is magically solved.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to you for more ideas that Mr. Asbe is also looking for. I have to take a break. Back in a jiffy. You can pay over UPI with your credit card, and I have been speaking to the person who created this system, Dilip Asbe of NPCI. Also with me, Parag Rao of HDFC Bank, Akhil Handa of BOB, and Kunal Shah, founder and CEO of Cred. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Mr. Asbe, how will now the bulk of cards, probably 90-95% out there, are Visa MasterCards? Will this system be open to them eventually? Is this a dry run with your own card and they will be brought in? Or will it be that they will use that Bharat QR, something that was created during demonetization and never went ahead?
This may not be an appropriate question for me to answer. It's a regulator which does the policy making, and we are an executing agency in that sense. So we will do whatever the regulator directs us to do. Okay. The second point is, Latha, I think the existing credit card users are well served. I personally think that, and I would just like to go back what Parag said. I think now we are looking at, with this facility of the fully digital onboarding, fully digital journey, we can give smaller credits to the millions and millions of Indians, right? And technically, as a country, the credit is so critical for our country to create this consumption economy. I think we should look at a dream that, why can't we underwrite every Indian in next 5 years? I think that's possible now. And, when we look at the variety of different...
Because of the Jan Dhan accounts and all that you're saying.
Everything. I'm just saying that why a 500 rupees credit card, 500 rupees credit, or, 1,000 rupees credit, why it can be even started from there. Now, because of the digital life cycle, Latha, that, and maybe Parag and Kunal and others, Akhil can speak about. But, I think with the auto pay, which RBI now has enabled the limit to 15,000 rupees
Yes.
per transaction.
Yes.
I think this whole thing can be seamless. The whole thing can be seamless. Obviously, it goes without saying that the credit is a very critical business for and critical for the financial services stability of the country. So obviously, it has to be done with the high due diligence, and I'm sure the banks have been practicing that even in the COVID times. So obviously. Nobody would like that, give a lot of loans and, not to get the money back. We need to, there is an obligation on the ecosystem to create a responsible citizens, right? So I personally think it's a huge opportunity in terms of, underwriting every Indian. I think now with this whole digital life cycle, digital journey, the banks can do it. Banks and fintechs both can do it very, very efficiently.
Okay.
And I must believe that now the banks and fintechs now should look at this, taking this 40-50 million credit card holders, unique credit card holders to 5x in next 5 years.
Okay. Well, let me start with the fintech guy. At the moment, again, Kunal, you're serving the upper end of this pyramid. But do you see fintechs coming in and taking it to the last mile in some fashion? After all, if, say, my maid were to constantly use her UPI and, she's transferring money to the village, you can have some idea of how much money she has in a month, which is why she's transferring it. So you think fintechs will be able to run artificial intelligence on this and give credit cards more? You see that happening?
I foresee Dilip's goal of 5x really happening. The reason I see it happening is no matter who we are, we all love paying later. And that's a deep psychological bias through which human beings operate. And I think credit allows a consumption to take off. I'll give a story of a QS, the largest QSR 12, 13 years ago did not accept credit cards. And the moment they started accepting credit cards, they saw that average consumer AOV went up by 1.6x. What happens is the consumption economy will start seeing both loops in going in where merchants requesting for cards and consumers wishing to pay through credit cards. And therefore, very soon, you will see as soon as the barrier to issue, the barrier to repay, the barrier to kind of use the ecosystem in acceptance, all of this are systematically going down. I foresee that this is going to happen. And fintechs need a business model. The MDR does help versus the current UPI thing, which currently has enabled the country to take a big thing. But if you have to make financial sense of going forward, credit will have to play a very big role.
Yeah, one hopes that MDR continues and we are not overcome by socialistic overtures unnecessarily. After all, someone has to pay. I agree with you. Parag, do you genuinely see this expansion of credit card issuance, maybe of RuPay cards? Is this an attractive proposition? What number can you throw?
Nice question. Well, irrespective, I mean, I think look at the ecosystem level with the expansion of UPI and the whole millions of customers. Dilip mentioned 250 million customers who are now used to electronic transactions. Any which way, I will expect that the credit card market will grow. As I've seen in many other economies, consumers start with simpler forms of payment and then sort of upgrade themselves to more sophisticated form of payments. And therefore, the way we look at it is that this whole set of UPI customers who don't have a credit card are actually a funnel or future potential credit card customers. So irrespective, I do expect that the credit card ecosystem will grow. I don't know whether it's 3x, 5x or 10x, but it will definitely grow. This initiative of linking the RuPay credit card today to the UPI, I think is only going to be one more means in which banks will be able to look at small credit, people who erstwhile you would not want to who didn't give credit cards. What I think banks will have to do is their own underwriting methodology, conventional methodology which we use today. I think we'll have to take a slightly different we got to take a slightly different way of looking at things. In the SME space, typically you use what you call cash flow based lending. The underlying UPI transactions of a customer today give you that visibility into not just what's happening in his account, but also the kind of flows, where he's spending, etc., etc. So cash flow based lending, it's a new way of underwriting customers. I think will have to be sort of adopted more and more. Okay, but yes, I definitely see an expansion of the credit card base. I see an expansion of consumption, as Kunal and even Dilip were mentioning, with the advent of credit. So
they will all look to you only,
I'm
Parag.
bullish on the kind of...
This onus will have to be borne by a person like HDFC Bank, digitally savvy, and now, next only to SBI. SBI doesn't have cards, so the responsibility is squarely going to fall on you to deliver. Beware of what number you are throwing. But anyway, just a word. Are you aware of Are you aware at all of what Visa and Master could be doing? I mean, that is the vacant seat in this panel. I should have called one of them. Couldn't get through. You think that Bharat QR comes or they get in here? Any idea at all, Parag?
I wouldn't be able to speak on their behalf, but this much I do know. I think Dilip has built an interoperable system, and if required, sort of most other schemes could sort of get onto that. Okay. So I'm hopeful that the entire ecosystem could sort of join this program.
Okay, next panel should be with one RBI and one card issuer, I guess. Akhil, what's your sense? The public sector banks actually do the last mile in several instances. Not to take away credit from HDFC Bank, but you guys do. Are you seeing that RuPay will edge out other cards? You will issue more RuPay than Visa Master simply because probably it has more advantages now?
I think there is, we are looking at a lot of variables coming together, and now fundamentally what we're doing is we are putting two rails which operate very differently, or up till now have operated very differently, and we are juxtaposing them to each other. Now, what that will, to my mind, do is harmonize some of the operating rules of both of them. Okay. And given that UPI happens to be the dominant way of payments today for the retail customer, I think the credit ecosystem will start moving in that direction in terms of harmonization. Okay. Now,
1 minute. What about cost? Do you think that will be a deterrent, Akhil, for all banks and fintechs coming on board? I mean,
I think it is still again it's for Dilip and the regulator to look at what the commercial structure for this is. But to my mind, you will have to compensate because credit operates in fundamentally different ways than debit instruments. Okay. And what you're doing now is you bringing through a same form factor credit and debit instrument. Yes. And it has been tried, in different parts of the world, including in India before. The UPI also had an OD, but with very limited success. But I do think this time it will be different. This time it will see breakaway success. Okay. But overall, for that to happen, you will probably need the other networks to get on board as well. Because that is where the bulk of the volume, credit card volume is right now.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, out of time, but I have a lot more issues, and so I'm taking a rain check from all of you, especially Dilip Asbe. We have to still discuss, whether we get to the situation which you see in foreign countries. You actually don't carry a wallet, Kunal, don't you? When you go, say, to London or any of those countries, tap everywhere for your tube ticket, or whether you're buying a water bottle. We have to reach that stage, and hopefully this is the first step. From entering the UPI number, Mr. Asbe, you will probably give us a scan where we can tap the phone itself. Maybe that is the next step you'll tell us. And I think you already put on the international rails as well, at least for Europe. So lots more to discuss with all of you. I'll take your permission for another day. Thank you very much for watching this special and very interesting show, I should say.